Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Frostify. Today I'm going to be answering everything from design questions to personal questions. And this is to celebrate us hitting 2,000 subscribers on the channel. I truly do not know how to thank you guys enough. This journey so far has been absolutely amazing and I love making design content. So you guys are definitely making this possible for me. And I don't plan to stop anytime soon. I genuinely appreciate this an absolute ton. And so in order to celebrate, we're going to do a little Q&A to kind of just dive into things and get some questions done. But without further ado, I'm very unsure of what is going to happen. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right into the questions, starting with Twitter. Let's do this. We have question number 1 and it comes from Blue and he asks, what is a mistake you made while entering the design industry that you wish you could have told your younger self to avoid? This is definitely a heavy question, but if I had to pick top 2, I would definitely say that I need to be more careful with who I surround myself with and definitely overall kind of pushing towards client vision. When I was young, I made a really big mistake and I'm just going to go ahead and let it out there because I want to let you guys know that it's okay to make mistakes as a young kid when you're starting out designing. I had this client and he paid me $20 for a stream package and I was so excited. I was about 13 years old at this time and I was like, yo, I just got 30 bucks, 20 bucks for a stream package. So I went and I spent it all and then the client asked for a refund. Let me just say that was the biggest punch in the gut, but definitely a lesson that had to be learned the hard way for me because later down the line, I quickly knew that it's definitely important to prioritize your money and your finances appropriately and not go spending before orders are complete or before a job is completed and other things like that. However, I don't think I would personally avoid any of them because every single one of them have built me up to be the designer that I am today and also the person that I am today. So personally, I wouldn't avoid any like major mistakes, but yeah, I would have to say that was probably the most major one for me. As a little kid, having that refund situation was pretty crazy to me. Next question is from Charlie C and he asked, what was your breakthrough moment in design and how did you know you quote unquote made it? Personally, Charlie, I don't think there is such thing as making it personally because I always have something that I'm pushing towards every day. However, that's just personally a me thing. A lot of people have different definitions of making it. I personally think you have made it when you actually are positive every day and you absolutely love what you do without any obstacles. But if I had to pick a moment through my entire career where I kind of felt like, you know, this is crazy, like this is actually legit, is my first full-time job, which I recently got at an awesome studio with some phenomenal people. I definitely think anybody out there who is still pushing to go full-time should keep going because it's right at the edge of their fingertips. I know for a fact. Next question is from F4 Visuals and he asks, how did you start your graphic design journey? First off, I used to be a Call of Duty player, so I definitely used to play a lot of Call of Duty back in the day. Definitely during the more toxic era. I'm sorry. But overall, with my design journey, I started realizing that there were these kind of like creative little dabbles within these COD teams that I was interested in. And so I had a friend get me into the industry and I studied a lot of the graphical sides. And overall, like it really just came down to me liking graphic design more than playing video games because what I started to do after that was practice, you know, do thumbnails, do stream packages, do headers, whatever the case may be. And that's when I kind of got my foot in the door and started talking to other graphic designers. And when I started talking to other graphic designers, I started working more hard and it kind of just went up from there. I will say though, the first thing that I ever designed on was my mom's crappy laptop when I was like 12 years old. And let me just tell you, it definitely got better. I think it's truly phenomenal what people can do with like cell phones and, you know, other computers, Surface Pros, whatever the case may be. So I don't really think there's necessarily like an excuse anymore to not become a graphic designer or not chase your dreams. Next question is from a Jit or a Jeet and he asks, what do you think the importance of fitness is in graphic design? I've seen way too many designers with back pain at such a young age and struggling with mental and physical problems. Starting off with the fitness side of graphic design, I definitely think self-care and well-being is so important in order to become an artist. I don't think you personally need to like do hard workouts every day, but I simply think like taking a step back from your computer and going outside and going on walks and overall spending quality time with your family may be the better route in terms of mental health. And that is such a shame about the back pain. I definitely used to be one of those people. This is definitely not a sponsored video, but one of the things that helped me the most with my back pain is just overall getting a better chair. There are tons of chairs out there. Sticker Lab is personally my go-to, but there's tons of ergonomic chairs you can go to. And in terms of the mental and physical problems, it's a very, very serious thing in the industry. I recently filmed an episode with Genesix of the Frostcast, and we dive deep into mental health and physical health for graphic designing. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely go check it out. Next question we have is from Zen Vader, and he says, what are tips for people who aspire to be a full-time graphic designer and how to work with big companies like Nike, etc.? I think it just comes down to overall what you believe in a brand. Personally, for me, when I job search and I look for jobs, I am currently completely comfortable where I'm at right now, but when I was job searching, I definitely looked at brands that I am passionate about, brands that I have kind of looked into and definitely saw myself fitting a part of the puzzle piece with. So overall, some of my best tips for people that want to go full-time in graphic design is to simply just be yourself and keep pushing and do not stop searching. I have said this so many times in the past and I still stand by it. A company is looking for something very specific. I know for a fact there's probably going to be days where you're like, oh man, I'm not that good at graphic designing. I don't feel like I'm that good at graphic designing, and overall just different feelings like that. But every company is different. You may be what that company needs, but you would never know if you didn't reach out. That's some advice that I can give. I recently made a video on how to become a graphic designer if you want to go check that out, and pretty soon I'm going to be doing one on how to become a full-time graphic designer as well. Next question is from Sahil, and he says, congrats on 2K, big man. Here is my question. Do you think AI will take over design in the future? Thank you so much for the congratulations, brother. I appreciate that a lot. And in terms of your question, I have no idea. I have seen some crazy artwork with AI. I do not think that it would end up taking over graphic design in the future though, because I feel like graphic design is very important in sending a message. So far from what I've seen, AI is in a state where it really just kind of builds visually pleasing graphics rather than graphics that kind of, you know, send a message and kind of lead advertising. Sweet. Now we are on to the Discord questions, and if you guys are interested in joining the Discord, the link will be down below in the description. We do tons of stuff there, like events, portfolio reviews, resume reviews, you name it. We have all sorts of stuff in the Cord, and if you simply just want to come and chill with a bunch of designers, that is also an option too. So yeah, if you guys are interested, there's definitely going to be more events like this moving forward, so go ahead and click the link down below in the description, and I hope to see you there. First question in the Discord is from Woolru, and he asks, where do you see yourself in 30 years? What is the long-term goal? This is by far a phenomenal question. It's definitely something I would kind of like here in a job or something like that, but I definitely want to answer this one. In terms of where I see myself in 30 years, I want to continue to inspire and teach and upload YouTube content consistently. One of the things that I really struggle with is consistency, because I 100% need to like get a grasp on it. As much as I have uploaded in the past, this is definitely something new to me, still making YouTube content consistently and still overall providing, you know, educational content and entertaining content in design. So in terms of where I see myself in 30 years, I definitely see myself still pushing the YouTube game, still designing, and still hanging in there. I thank you so much for your question, Woolru. You are absolutely killing the game, by the way, my man. I love all of your motion graphics, and I definitely am going to get something commissioned from you super soon for the channel, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Next question is from Noah Visuals, and he asks, opinions on the social and economic state of the world right now. I think hamburgers and cheeseburgers work well with fries. Next question is from D'Angelo S, and he asks, do you see yourself taking another shot at exploring the Web3 industry when things don't look as Wild West as it is now in the future, like sometime during this decade? Personally, I had an absolute blast with the Web3 industry when I did get into it a little bit ago, but I feel like my passion for YouTube and my passion for content is definitely going to overtake this. I don't think that it'll be anytime during this decade though, as I am focusing on things like full-time work and overall just creating content. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with the Web3 industry. I know a lot of people that are absolutely killing it right now in that scene, and it makes me so unbelievably happy. Thank you so much for your question, D'Angelo. Next question is from Twig, and he asks, hey Frost, how do you practice graphic design to improve their skill and designing concepts as a whole? Congrats on the milestone, brother. Thank you so much, Twig. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for saying congrats. And in terms of practicing graphic design and improving, I would honestly say that overall I decompress graphics a lot. When I am not working on, you know, full-time work or content, I decide to take some time out of my day to overall like take an already made graphic in the industry, put it in Photoshop, and try to recreate it from scratch. This is definitely a method that is used by a lot of graphic designers, and I definitely find it efficient, like a ton. Basically, you look at the graphic and you try to reconstruct it from scratch in the best way possible, and the closer you can get, the better. Obviously, this work doesn't go public because, you know, you don't want to copy other artists, but the whole point of the exercise is to kind of teach you the process of designing and overall the process of the person that made it. So for example, if I take a really good design that has amazing layout, I can go ahead and practice my layout skills. If I take a good graphic that has good composition, I can go ahead and practice more of my composition. It overall just depends on what you want to do. Another thing that I also do is I mood board a lot, and I look at YouTube tutorials constantly. Thank you so much for your question, boss. Next up, a question from Villainous, and he says, what type of design do you like creating the most? Banners, stream assets, posters, etc. I would say that my all-time favorite form of design to create is content advertising and YouTube related designing. So things like stream packages, banners, advertisements celebrating milestones. I absolutely love those types of graphics because it gives me an opportunity to study more into the brand and understand the vision for that that person's brand. So I can kind of like keep pushing forward and also kind of add my own little twist on things, which can overall bring a new idea to the table for said brand. So those are by far my favorite graphics to design. I definitely love doing thumbnails a lot too. I do a lot of my own thumbnails, so it's definitely something that I'm quite addicted to when I have free time, of course. And you added a follow-up question that says also top 5 music artists. Congrats on 2K YouTube subs, Guilt. Thank you so much, Villainous. I appreciate this a ton. Thank you for the congrats. One of the music artists that I'm definitely going to go for is Michael Jackson. He is by far a legend, and I am a big 80s fanatic, so definitely Michael Jackson. I definitely kind of like Harry Styles and his new music. I can't say I'm a big fan of One Direction, but Harry Styles is definitely killing the game right now. I definitely love the Cutting Crew, Scorpions, Tears for Fears. Pretty much all 80s artists is totally my jam. Speaking of which, I actually have 4 playlists for graphic designing. If you guys are interested in listening to them, Villainous, I'm going to take the time right now to go ahead and link those down below. Maybe you can go ahead and take a look at them and see the kind of music I listen to. I've got a sad designer vibes playlist for when I'm in my feels, a playlist for creatives, 80s and 70s vibes, and Stranger Things edition. The next question is from Frosty. If you could instantly master one art-related skill, painting, illustration, web design, photography, etc., which one would you choose? I would 1000% choose painting. I actually used to do a little bit of digital illustration and manipulation in the past, but I am not even close to mastering that. I think it'd be so cool to be able to just draw something to life. Obviously, I kind of already do that with graphic designing, but illustration is just on a whole different level. Thank you so much for your question. Next question is from Frost. Wow, there seems to be a lot of Frostifys. There can only be one. Next question is from Frost. He asks, any tips for new designers trying to start a portfolio? And for designers trying to break into esports, what sorts of projects should they be working on? This is very interesting to me. For the first question, any tips for new designers trying to start a portfolio? I definitely recommend overall going on YouTube and looking at portfolio tutorials. But if you were to kind of ask me like what my tips are, I would say that every single project in your portfolio needs to have a direction and a meaning. So when someone clicks on your project, you really need to show them that you had an idea going into it, you executed said idea, and you changed the brand for the better because of it. I would definitely say that that's for the best. And if you have miscellaneous projects like, you know, headers or social media or esports miscellaneous, I definitely recommend just overall keeping those organized and keeping the direction very clear. For example, at the top of my portfolio, I have things that kind of give like people a little teaser of what they're going to see. I have like an animated signature, and then I have like a description underneath that says something along the lines of, these are all the thumbnails that I've made for my channel and other creators. This was the goal for it, other things like that. And for designers trying to break into esports and the projects that they should focus on, I would say any project goes. I think one of the things that's very important in esports is kind of staying unique in your own way, but more importantly, showing that you know how to take a brand from scratch and improve it. Like if you were to kind of get handed a brand, how would you turn it into something better for the better? You know what I mean, kind of? So when you are doing esports graphics or miscellaneous screens, you can do, you know, esports graphics, esports live streams, esports revamps, whatever you want to do. Make sure that you have that in mind every single time you create one. How can I branch off of this to make it more unique or make it flow better with the idea of the brand? Obviously, kind of sprinkle your own little salt and sprinkle your own little style onto that, because that is ultimately what is going to solidify you in the industry, having your own style and being unique with it. Thank you so much for your question. Next question is thoughts on the esports community in a designing standpoint. I think the esports community is great. I've met a lot of amazing people in the esports industry, and I think it's definitely a feasible route for anybody getting into it. It's very new and very refreshing, but it's also something that you can't expect like straight linear growth with, which isn't necessarily bad. I feel like that's something that's very common with every industry. Esports is awesome for designing, so I'd go head first into it personally. Make sure to do what you want to do. Next question is from Valth, and he asks, what do you do to deal with burnouts and the loss of motivation and when designing? And he also asks, how do you think the style of trends of esports design might change in the near future? These are also really great questions. For the first question, how I deal with burnouts, I'm going to give you 3 tips. There's a lot of like short form content on my TikTok if you guys want to go ahead and follow that. I did do one on creative block, believe it or not, because that's something I struggle with a lot. But if I were to give you 3 tips, I would say make sure to step away and spend time with family and kind of like stay away from the computer. Make sure to take it slow and understand that these things take time, and to not be ashamed of, you know, taking a step back. And the last thing I would say is to just overall step back from opening that Adobe program and instead mood board. Study off of others and surround yourself with other designers that you can kind of get inspiration with as a whole. And next thing you said is, how do you think the style of trends of esports and design might change in the near future? I definitely think esports is going to be constantly growing since it is so new, so it's kind of hard to tell. But if I had to guess, I can easily see esports becoming very streamlined in the sense of kind of like the sports industry. Obviously, I can't predict the future, but that is definitely a theory that I love to keep close to my heart. Next question is from Outdated, and he asks, how does a normal day in Frostify look like? Yo, okay, so this is actually a funny question because I seriously honestly am going to record a day in the life of a graphic designer video soon, and you're going to be able to see what I do all day, and it's going to be super funny. So definitely keep an eye out for that video. But if I had to basically sum up my day, wake up, work out, vibe, go back to sleep, record content in my sleep. Nah, you know what I mean. And last but not least, the last question is from Sora, and he asked, tell us, is the stereotype of designer staying awake for long periods of time true? I don't know if you can see this, but it is currently 9:47 p.m. at night. It's extremely true. I can't tell you how many times I've been up late, but it's okay because it's a grind at the end of the day. I want to thank you all so much for sending in your questions for me to answer. I had an absolute blast going through these and overall just giving my takes and inputs and other things like that. If you guys are curious in joining a design related Discord community, I know this is like the third time I've plugged it, but I cannot put more emphasis on the fact that the community is so sick. Go ahead and click the link down below in the description and come hang with the design fam. If you guys have any more questions that you wanted to ask and you kind of just didn't see the opportunity, my DMs are always open. I'm always open to answer any questions for you guys. But yeah, without further ado, thank you guys so much for sending in your questions. This has been Frostify, and I will see you next Friday with a brand new video. Peace out.